Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Let's Talk Morning Show live. And right up front, we're going to let you know, because I did tell you guys Dennis was going to be a little bit late, but he's going to be in here for like the first 20 minutes. We're going to answer a couple of small questions before we get into the big headliner question that you guys saw, the top 10 horror movie characters of all time. Dennis, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thank you. Happy to be here. Like I was originally not going to jump on, but had a little bit of time. So, 15, 20 minutes, answer a couple small questions, then going to run out. And I'll be back, though. It's not the end of me on the show this morning. It's just I need a little time to run out quick.
Yeah, he'll come right back, and that's when we'll get into the main topic. And in between his absence, we'll do the digital code giveaway, which we usually do at the back end of the show. So we'll get into that in your absence. Good morning, Mr. Smelly Potato. Welcome. I'm glad you can make it here, our channel bankroll member, and thank you to everyone who's here 7:30 in the morning. I know that could be a little tough, but we're
Yeah.
gonna hit some small questions before Dennis gets out of here and has to go on, and then he'll come back. But this is a good one we saw from Acres of Movies, who sent us a bunch of questions. And this time we can actually answer this one right here. Comedy movies funnier in the first half than in the second half.
Yeah. And we kind of, before we jumped on, kind of talked about this. We have a couple in mind. The first one immediately that came to my mind was Step Brothers.
Yeah, Step Brothers is 100% that, and I've said it for years. Like that movie is on pace to be like a 10 out of 10 comedy, and then the Catalina wine mixer comes in, and it just kind of takes it down.
Yeah, agreed. It's all just hilarious jokes. It's one-liners and really playing into the whole plot line. Everything about it is a joke. Them moving in together, the little bickering, I always use the no power tools, it's my toothbrush line. There's so many quotable lines. And then you get to that point where they finally do like kind of grow up and the Catalina wine mixer, and it's just not. I think personally that one to me came to mind because it falls off a cliff. A lot of comedies do like shift towards the end, but that one to me is absolutely, like you said, 10 out of 10 for probably 80 to 90% of the film. And then, so it's not even first half, second half. It's like first 98%. And then that last 2% falls off so bad that it kind of ruins the film.
Yeah, that's my problem with it too. Is like once you get on the back end and like it's funny for a little while. Like they're talking like he's like the dad's telling him about how he wanted to be a dinosaur, and John C. Reilly's like, "But Dad, you're a human," and he's like, "I know." And like then the band's on stage and like we play strictly '80s Joel, and then people are yelling out, "Stranger! All right, you can take you and your horror wife and get the hell out of here." And then and then from that point on, it's like they go up there and sing, and it's like it just doesn't work, but it could
Yeah.
if it just I don't know. I don't get what they were going for with that. Were we supposed to feel emotional, or were we supposed to be like, this is really funny because they're trying to take it serious? Like I don't know what their goal was on that.
Yeah, I don't know. But whatever the goal was, it definitely missed the mark because it was not, I don't know, it didn't stick the landing. It was a beautiful flight the whole way, and they just missed the runway on the landing.
Which then no one died, but like they might not want to fly again.
Yeah.
Morning, David. Welcome, buddy. Glad you can make it and pop in here. Me and Dave were actually talking yesterday because we were kicking around the idea of doing a live show, like the three of us in the winter, possibly about doing Jaws: The Revenge.
Wow, he actually wants me to be involved in a conversation after all the things I've said the past few weeks.
Yeah, well, we figured, we get some Bahama Mamas and, and talk
Nice.
about
All
maybe we'll
right.
appreciate the movie a little bit more.
Yeah, listen, I'm always game to try. I'd be honored to be on a video with both of you guys talking about it. I think you'll probably team up against me, but I'll be there.
Figured we get the whole Let's Talk family together and discuss the greatness of that as Jaws: The Revenge.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. I would definitely be interested in that.
Another comedy you mentioned was Big Daddy, and you're 100% right about that. Because when I think of Big Daddy, I don't even think about the trial at the end. Because you're right, that's just sad.
Yeah, there's some one-liners of the people in the court. Steve Buscemi's character is hilarious while he's in the courtroom and everything, but it just kind of turns, like you said, into a dramedy, I guess, where the whole entire beginning is just kind of it's all jokes, 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 jokes. But obviously the underlying plot is, this kid looking for his dad, Sonny's pretending to be his dad, the whole thing. And then it's like you have to get to the actual custody case. And even though they do throw jokes in there, it does kind of take the wind right out of the sails for that part of it because you just I don't know. It falls off a little bit, and yeah, I like that John can be the referee.
I will. I'll get in the middle of you guys because I don't have any certain leaning feeling. I just think Jaws: The Revenge is pretty funny. I mean, the guy, it's a shark that swam all the way to the Bahamas for revenge. That's commitment. You got to admire the commitment.
That's true. That's true. It's a long swim. It's a very long swim.
I don't know if there's any, I don't know how he did it. I really don't. I'd have to sit down and talk to him, maybe talk down with the shark actor and see what his thoughts were.
Yeah, see how he feels about everything. I mean, we get it. Dude, can you imagine a mockumentary about it where people sit down with the shark and talk to him?
Like take it like seriously, like we thought we were getting away. And then everything just got flipped upside down. The shark was here and it was really out for revenge. It really just
Yeah.
had something against the whole family.
And we talk to the shark who's like half blown up, and he's like, "Well, I had a plan and it just didn't go how I thought it would." Yeah, but
Absolutely insane. Mellow Fellow said he never saw any of the sequels to Jaws. I actually think Jaws 2 is a pretty good. I think Jaws 3 is the best sequel, but I just, I think I love the cheesiness of going to SeaWorld.
my God, yeah. So I will say Jaws 1 and 2 don't bother. I feel like it's like the Halloween series, right? Like 1 and 2 I like. I think 1 is, masterpiece, 2 is a decent follow-up. I don't mind it. I'll watch it.
They
And
are
then it
very
kind of
similar, right? Actually, like the different director does take place right after the original, brings back most of the original cast, and but it just doesn't feel the same.
yeah, it's one of those like what do you do, to please the crowd? Do you make it how they did where it's essentially the same exact movie, but it's not gonna have as much, kind of excitement because it is just the first movie, or do you totally revamp it like The Revenge and probably upset someone, you know?
Yeah, that's right. They are making they're making a Jaws: The Revenge documentary, probably because it's considered one of the worst sequels of all time, and they probably want to explore it. But that's so funny. Might actually bring some new love into it.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that new Catfish documentary on Netflix?
No.
Unknown number. Me and Faith watched it last night. It's only like an hour and a half, and it's
Mhm.
about like kids in high school, a couple that were getting cyber bullied by somebody. Cover your ears if you don't want to get the spoiler to this because I knew it before going in. I just had to see the reasoning because I thought it was insane. So the person that was doing all this cyber bullying of a girl and her boyfriend turned out to be the girl's mother.
I read about that, yeah, like, when
Is
it
that
happened.
Oh, when it happened? Yeah, I had no idea until this documentary came out about it. Like, that's insane though to me.
Yeah, that's messed up, dude. I don't what even made you think of that right now? We're talking about a shark going to the Bahamas. What made you think about a mom doing that?
Uh, just David writing documentary. I watched it because that was the last thing I watched before bed. Actually, that's not true. I watched the documentary with Faith, and then I watched the second half of Terminator 2 for like the third time in a week.
Oh, nice, very good. Yeah, that is crazy, I have to give it a shot, but, even sharks wanna yeah, it is the
Yeah.
Bahamas.
He probably swam down there and was like, "Is the waters like this year round?"
Imagine the actual plot was the shark was trying to get away, and he runs into his family again, he's like, "Damn it!"
Every fucking where I go, they're here.
We
Ruins
never
my
think about it.
kills my entire family, my uncles, like, and I can just not get away.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean,
That's true.
um
Crazy moms, like, yeah, that is a crazy mother, right?
yeah, that is true.
Um,
Um, but yeah, with the comedy thing, I think we were talking about it, because even we brought up Big Daddy and all that, and you had brought up Billy Madison. I feel like we kind of were mentioning that it's almost like kind of commonplace for comedies because their point is to get their jokes in, and most of them have a set type of joke they're telling the whole film. So for the first half of the movie, it's always very funny, and then by the second half, you almost kind of get fatigued with it, where you're like, okay, I can see this joke coming. I know what's going to be said here. I know what they're trying to make me laugh at this part. So I think generally speaking, comedies kind of can hit that, or comedies are taking a very serious topic and trying to make them lighthearted. And you can only do that for so long before you actually have to address the serious issue. So I do think, just to kind of wrap up on Acres of Movies question, most comedies kind of fall off in the second half when they address the serious storyline that's being told under all the jokes. And the Adam Sandler movies are a great example of that. Um, Step Brothers, like I said, first one that really came right to the forefront. Even Talladega Nights, like most Will Ferrell stuff too, like
yeah,
is
that's true. because the
It's
race
pretty
isn't
funny.
as exciting at the very end. But you're right though, you have to wrap up the actual plot of the movie because all of these movies have plots, and you might be like, I've come on and said, oh, the plot's not really that important. It's more about the gags. And like that's something that spoof movies, like the scary movies and like the Naked Guns movies, they're just jokes a mile a minute. But you can get fatigued from that too, where it's like you said, like I've seen this a million times. Like there might not be a running plot, but the jokes just keep coming and they start to like repeat themselves sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's specifically spoof movies fall into that because obviously spoof movies, for the most part, they're trying to just do the most ridiculous things as possible to make fun of what they're doing. And they it does, like you said, by the 45-minute mark, maybe hour mark, you kind of do just see them all coming and you're like, all right, well, this is kind of funny.
That wow, I was actually gonna mention this to you. Pain and Gain was a true story turned into a comedy. Yeah, and that one was that's a tough one to deal with the serious subject matter because people actually died
Hmm.
and were killed by but these guys are like such idiots, and that's kind of the point of the movie. And I remember when Pain and Gain people were like kind of upset, like he took a real serious tragedy and like turned it into a joke. I gotta be honest, I own Pain and Gain. It's over there. It's a very dark comedy, but I laugh a lot at it. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but that's honestly one of my favorite Rock performances because he's so over the top. Like he's doing cocaine at like a kid's birthday party. And then Mark Wahlberg at one point, like they kidnap a guy and like they talk. Mark Wahlberg and him are talking to him, and he's like using the guy's name. He's like, "Stop talking about him like you guys went to the sixth grade together."
Yeah, I actually haven't seen that one, but I'll add it to the list for sure because it sounds pretty good. But there you go, perfect example. It's a comedy, got a lot of good jokes in it, tackling a very serious thing. And I feel like that's the thing when you have stories, like there's not a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the thing. Like it's a dark comedy.
Yeah, and that's the thing when you try to take a most movies, I feel like the plots are trying to tackle something that's somewhat serious, and they're trying to, like, make it lighthearted, so, like, in that case, that's something super serious that's kinda difficult to make lighthearted and make it palatable for the general audience, so it's hard for comedies to really be able to pull off start to finish, everything is hilarious.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely you got to float a line. Like there's some great ones that like have that dramedy era where like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a great example of this. There's a lot of funny moments in that movie, but we have to wrap up the entire like third act with pretty much no comedy because then they that's the thing of John Hughes is that he's able to actually manipulate you to the point where you're like this is a very good emotional journey, even though you're laughing hysterically throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think, honestly, in recent memory too, I know I mention it all the time. It might be recency bias, but the Nice Guys, I feel
Oh
like is one
yeah.
that is funny through the whole thing. Even at the end when they're doing the shootout and the final battle and everything, like it's not really that serious of a plot line. I think that helps it, but they do it in a way that I don't think the final act really isn't funny. There's even more jokes, like the elevator gag when they open the
That's one
door
of
and
my
everyone.
favorite jokes in the whole movie is that
Yeah.
'cause they don't even speak. It's just literally the elevator doors open, they're all ready to do this, and then they just see people shooting at each other. They don't even say anything to each other. They just keep looking straight and they're pressing the button really fast to get out of there.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. So that one to me is hilarious the whole time, start to finish, it's funny, it doesn't fall off. But I guess it's really like the older comedies try to, I guess it's not older, but if I
Mhm.
think if the comedy is tackling a serious subject in a lighthearted manner, that's when it falls off. Like the plot line in Nice Guys is really, it's all fiction, obviously, first of all, but the plot is basically just trying to solve this murder mystery, but then there's like, a big porn industry involved in it against big automobile industry. Like if you actually break down what it is, it's ridiculous down to the very core of it. It's supposed to be like a detective movie, but everything they're doing is silly. Where if you make it a series, like Big Daddy is about like a childless parent and a lost adult who find each other. Like it's very powerful and like deep, meaningful stuff. Pain and Gain, like you said, real people in real life died for this. Like it's hard to turn that stuff into comedy that's just good start to finish and doesn't really get too serious.
Oh, yeah, and, I gave away my bare bones Warner Brother Blu-ray, The Nice Guys, because I upgraded to the second sight 4K Blu-ray. I did the same thing. I actually gave away my bare bones Warner Brothers, Blu-ray to some, jerk off.
I wonder who that was. This guy. I'm very happy with it too. Bare bones or not, I love that movie.
No, I mean it's not a bad Blu-ray. It just doesn't have the extras that second. I mean, the second sight 4K is beautiful. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Some of the best visuals because you know how colorful that movie is. Takes place in the 70s.
Yeah, it is awesome.
And Ryan Gosling, man, he could just do comedy and he could do dramas. Like he's a very like he could be one of those pretty boy actors you would think, but he's got chops, man.
He really does. I feel like I've seen him in a lot. There's like really not a movie that I don't like. I think he's actually one of the funniest because even in Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell and all them, I think his character is hilarious in that. And it's almost the same thing as the nice guy. So it's almost like a typecasting situation, but he's a very good like visual humor guy. His facial expressions and like the way he I always think of this in like the elevator you said, he's just panic pushing the button, or when he falls down the cliff and he lands next to the dead body and it's just like like his face and the exhales are just hilarious.
That's one of my favorite scenes too, because when Russell Crowe gets there and he literally knows exactly what happened, that he fell down there. Like he didn't actually find the body.
Yeah.
He's like, you fell down the hill, didn't you, March?
Yeah, that's just great. But yeah, that's I think that's the key with it. Again, just good question. Thank you, Acres of Movies. We appreciate you submitting the question over. And I think that's kind of the summary on the comedy thing. If it's tackling kind of a fiction story that's ridiculous to its core, easy to make it funny through and through. If you're tackling a serious subject or a spoof movie where it's just jokes, it's really hard to keep it as funny in the second act as the first.
Oh, 100%. That's the biggest flaw of it. Is like, and in most of them, I really can't, off the top of my head, it's really hard to think of a comedy that's actually hysterical the whole way through. Maybe Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura. Even Ace Ventura, like I've said before, we got to wrap it up in the third act. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan of like wrapping that movie up. I think When Nature Calls is actually a funnier movie overall, but the plot is just stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The 90s definitely pulled it off pretty well, but I do have to jump now
You
for,
got it.
10 minutes or so, but I will be back shortly to answer the rest of the questions.
All right, so just wave when you're back in here, so I know
Okay,
to
I
add
will.
you back to the stage. All right.
Yeah, I'll talk to you in a minute.
All right, later. Dennis will be back if you're just getting in here. He's just gotta go do something real quick. He should be back on like 8:05, 8:10. But either way, it's just me until then. We'll do the giveaway. William, what's up, buddy? I'm glad you could make it. I was just telling everybody I've been because me and David worked on a Terminator 2 show that I'm editing right now. But because of that, I'm in a full-blown like Terminator 2 mood. Larry, I can't get it off of my head. I've watched the movie like 3 times in a week. I would like put it on just before bed, just because. Yeah, I'm really into Terminator 2. Again, it's like finding an old love. You fell back in love with her after all these years. Maybe things got a little dull there for a little while, but you remembered exactly what made you fall in love with her in the first place. That's what I'm going through right now with Terminator 2. Young Frankenstein, for me, great movie. That one is pretty funny throughout the whole way. I just wanted to go actually back to something you said earlier, Mellow Fellow, right here. I just binge watched 5 of Sean Baker's films, and now I'm considering one of the greatest filmmakers working today. And I agree with that, actually, 100%. Sean Baker, like, he makes a certain style of films, and you can clearly tell. But the guy not only directs his films, writes his films, he also edits his films, which is something that not a lot of people do today. Obviously, he got his flowers last year, winning Best Picture. Is that his best film? I don't know. The Florida Project might still be my favorite of his, and that has a 4K coming from Second Sight October 13th, which I would love to grab that day. But there's so much in October that I wouldn't even have time to review it. And I feel like I want to give that movie the justice it deserves. So I'll probably buy it eventually when I have like free time to review it. Because yeah, I agree with you. Sean Baker might not be for everybody, because I get like certain subjects that he's like, a Red Rocket. You know, it might be subjects that not everybody will feel comfortable exploring, but the filmmaking prowess of the man is absolutely incredible. Gets better each time, except on 4K. Not good. No. Unfortunately, that's been the whole thing. I've actually been able to go back and watch 3 separate versions of Terminator 2. I watched the 4K, I watched the Blu-ray that's packed in there, and then I watched what I've been watching, the Skynet edition Blu-ray, which I think is the best version you can watch currently. It's really a shame that 4K is so bad. And it's not even just the flaws of the waxy look of everything and getting rid of the film grain and wiping everything clean. It's still just too blue. Also, that's something that David and I were talking about. It's too blue. that filter over it. Like, and the movie itself has a blue-green tint to it. It's going for a certain look, but they just overdid it in the 4K Blu-ray, which is a crying shame because it's Terminator 2. Like, if any movie, the greatest action film of all time, definitely deserves a great 4K Blu-ray, and they haven't even corrected it. It's been 8 years now, if you guys can believe that, since that 3D scan that got put on 4K Blu-ray, and we still haven't gotten it, upgraded yet. So, truly a shame, in my opinion. I saw The Prince of Broadway, Red Rocket, Starlet, and his best. Starlet is a good one too. He is phenomenal, Sean Baker. If you guys aren't on the Sean Baker train, I understand, but I think you can definitely check out some of his movies. I think you'll. I think again, his most recent films are probably his most palatable films. I would say overall, because you're gonna see some recognizable figures in there, but I also understand why he wouldn't be for everybody. They use the 3D print. That's the main issue. Damn, Studio Canal. And then what's crazy about Studio Canal is they were doing the releases of Terminator 2 since Terminator 2 came out back in the 90s. And I didn't realize this, but my cousin Matt, who used to do the show with me, and maybe he'll make a future appearance. That's a tease for you guys who've been sticking around for this long. He has the Blu-ray. He still has his VHSs, and his VHS is from Studio Canal. So Studio Canal was actually doing the prints of that for a very long time for Terminator 2. So it's a shame that they fucked up so bad when it comes to putting that 3D scan on 4K Blu-ray, because it was, it came out, it coexisted when the scan came out for theaters for 3D at the time. Wasn't even for an anniversary. That's what made it weird too. But they haven't corrected that yet, which is crazy to me, because Studio Canal has actually put out good physical releases and good scans of Terminator 2. And we always get those rumors like they're going to fix them, but they haven't fixed them yet. So it's crazy. What version of 2 were you watching at night? I was watching the Skynet edition. I have a Blu-ray pack. Actually, one of the first Blu-ray packs when I started my brand new collection to go to the collection you see behind me. When I started this in 2012, I grabbed this 4-pack that at that time was only up to Terminator 1, 2, 3, and Salvation. Genesis hadn't come out yet, and there's another one besides Dark Fate, right? I'm forgetting, but those movies haven't come out yet, so it was just 1 through 4, and that had the Skynet edition in there. The Blu-ray had I have a couple different editions of T1. That was the first edition, first T1 scan before they redid the scan that had another Blu-ray release. Then Terminator 3, which is still the only versions of 3 and Salvation I have. But yeah, the Skynet edition I think is the best edition that you could watch right now. It's got the theatrical and extended edition, and like David told me, you can even watch the extended edition with the alternate ending as well. As a big Arnold fan, I still haven't seen all his movies he's been in. I watched The Running Man last night for the first time. Really? First time, Mr. So that's a good one. I really like that. That's very much a 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle. I mean, he even throws in I'll Be Back. But I like that movie so much that I'm a little bit worried about the Edgar Wright version, despite the fact I'm a big Edgar Wright fan. And this one's obviously, because it's based on a book, I just, how much I love Arnold as well. And, I love that Arnold cheese and that 80s cheese. And it's going to be different, even though I do think this will be a good movie. And I guess I kind of want it to be a little bit different. Why would I want it to be the same exact movie as the original one from the 80s? But, I am a little nervous because I do have a very big soft spot for The Running Man. I'm pretty sure I have seen every Arnold movie that he did up until, he became the Governor in 2003. I haven't caught up on all the movies he's done since, mainly because a lot of them are, unfortunately, like low budget films that I just don't think are going to be very good. He's had a couple good ones come out, like Maggie, like that's when I finally caught up to, like, since his return to acting. I still think he gives, like, even though I don't like the movies, at least he's committed to his performances in Dark Fate and Genesis. But you can't make up for bad writing. I have a Japanese Blu-ray of T2. It's the best versions in my eyes. Does that David sent me a picture a couple weeks ago of a Japanese movie poster for Terminator 2? Does that have it on that release for you? I'm very curious. But yeah, Terminator 2, it's a shame when movies like this that are such classics haven't gotten the treatment that they deserve, because it's literally Terminator 2. It's a crying shame when that happens. When we live in a world, like, you guys, if you saw my video I put out yesterday, the underrated horror movies on 4K Blu-ray, or underrated horror 4K Blu-rays, you guys saw that I put it #1. Like, spoiler if you haven't seen it, but a movie like Maniac Cop 2 and 3 have these great Blue Underground 4K Blu-ray releases. Phenomenal. It's just crazy to me that, like, a studio like that puts their heart and soul into a release like that. Sorry about my dogs, guys. They probably saw somebody walk by the house, but they put their heart and soul into that release, and then Maniac Cop 3 has how many fans? But then a movie like Terminator 2, which is one of the most famous films ever, one of the greatest action movies ever, in my opinion, the greatest sequel ever, has a really bad 4K Blu-ray release. It just doesn't add up, and it just I don't know. I don't know why it hasn't been corrected yet. Because Terminator 1 got a good 4K Blu-ray release last year, so you would think that Terminator 2 would get that. There was rumors that it was coming, but it just unfortunately did not happen. The T1000 is in your backyard. Yeah, well, that's the good. You know what's funny is it's German Shepherds. That German Shepherds are easy to spot the Terminators. I actually have a German Shepherd. I don't think that they spot Terminators. I'm convinced after having my German Shepherd for all these years, they just don't like anything that isn't their humans. Like my dog will just, she's not a fan of anyone that isn't me and my wife. A couple people here and there, but for the most part, she gets skittish. My other dog, Obi, yeah, he loves everybody. So he's the opposite. So he's the guy, he would trust the Terminator while my dog Leia wouldn't. So it'd be a 50-50 shot if he gets in the house. Once he gets in, though, it'll be pretty easy to kill me. I don't think I'm going to be putting up too much of a fight. But anyway, let's do the quick digital code giveaway, and I'll keep vamping while we do that until Dennis gets back. So we'll add this to the stage. And if you guys know how this works, every single week we do our digital code giveaway. If you are somebody who commented on the post I put out on Friday, your name was put on this list right here. I spin it 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you will see on your screen before you today. So let's do this bad boy. Well, this won't happen at the end of the show because Dennis is going to stick around for a little bit longer. So let's see what the winners are. That drum roll replaces the music. Ooh, it looks like it's going to be, is it going to be Sunshine? Looks like it. Donna B. I mean, her name on here is Sunshine, but Donna B, longtime channel member. Congratulations. We'll remove you real quick. And I actually have a question I want to answer to you guys before Dennis gets back. I don't know if he'd be, you know, he's not the world's biggest, quality of like physical meteor knower, which is in the world. Ooh, it's gonna be the physical meteor collector of blue. I'm pretty sure. Yep, there it is. So congratulations to both of you guys. You guys have both won in the past, so I don't have to really explain it too much to you. You just reach out to me at letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let me know which of the digital codes you want, as long as the other winner doesn't take it. That digital code is all yours. And these are the digital codes we got available to you right now. So make sure you guys do that. I don't have Casper anymore, so most of these are still available. I think everything is still available to you guys. A lot of these are donations from Mr. Smelly Potato, my cousin Matt. If I buy movies, Rogue 1677, Scotty Gunn. So thank you guys all who have donated digital codes. Really appreciate that. We do that every single week. We do a monthly giveaway for our channel members as well. So I want to thank everybody who is a channel member. But let's get back to the questions into the morning show. Just had to do a little bit of plugging there, and just because a little bit different than we're set up. Here's one from our buddy Mr. Smelly Potato. What movie do you hope gets a 4K Blu-ray release next year? So it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day because every single year in January, I like to do like round up, the best movies of the year before, the best 4K Blu-rays of the year before, and then I like to always do a list of the movies like what do I want to come to 4K Blu-ray, and those lists, surprisingly, a lot of those movies have come out on 4K Blu-ray already. Like Major League used to always be on the list. Lethal Weapon, Terminator, all those movies have now come to 4K Blu-ray. So what movies that haven't come to 4K Blu-ray yet do I actually want to come to 4K Blu-ray? I actually have to think about it now. We've been getting very spoiled, especially like towards the end of this year. Like some movies, like I know for you, especially Mr. Smelly Potato, how much of a big TMNT fan and how that's like your favorite childhood film. So that's like got to be something for you, like a holy grail release. And I feel that way about The Mask coming out in November. Like that's a huge childhood favorite of mine. Never thought it would get the Arrow Video treatment, but we're both getting lucky. We're getting TMNT in December and The Mask in November. So we're getting spoiled with some of our favorite childhood films coming to 4K Blu-ray and getting the Arrow Video treatment. Like that's all we could ask for. So I'm excited about that. But I think that opens the door because of New Line Cinema's deal with Arrow Video. That's how we're able to get TMNT and how we're able to get The Mask and Spawn. We'll be finally, I assume, getting Dumb and Dumber, which is obviously something I really want on 4K Blu-ray. I want all of Jim Carrey's 1994 movies on 4K Blu-ray release. Unfortunately, Shout Select did us dirty with Ace Ventura. Still looks the best, but we didn't get everything we wanted, but hopefully we're getting that with Arrow. I want all the Lethal Weapons. Yeah, I'm going to guess that we're going to get those very similar to how we got the Nightmare on Elm Streets, where, they kind of were feeling out the sales. We got Nightmare on Elm Street on 4K Blu-ray last year, and now we're getting the entire set at the very end of this month. I imagine we might get something like that next year, because I'm with you, William. I want all 4 of the Lethal Weapons. I'm not one of those people who feels like it's Lethal Weapon and then they just stopped. I think Lethal Weapon 2 gets really close to Lethal Weapon as far as quality goes. And then I still really like Lethal Weapon 3 and Lethal Weapon 4. I don't care. I usually, when I watch those movies, the way it works for me is I watch them around Christmas. Every Christmas, I'll watch Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2. 3 or 4, it's like every few years. I don't think they're as good, but I still love them. Anytime you can get Murtaugh and Riggs back together, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, I'm there for it. And I, even when they add characters like Rene Russo in the last 2, I love that. I love, when the relationship between her and Mel Gibson, I think it's nice that he finds love again. I like in the 4th movie, you bring in Chris Tucker, not Chris Tucker, you bring in Chris Rock and Jet Li. I think that's Jet Li's like American debut. He's phenomenal. Actually adds a great villain to the franchise. I absolutely love that. I watched Nora on 4K, my 4K projector. This might sound weird to say, but to me, it didn't look like it was actually 4K. Well, that's actually why I haven't picked up the Criterion 4K of that yet. I have it digitally, believe it or not. One of the very few movies I own digitally is Anora, just because I wanted to watch it before I did my year-end list last year, and the only way that I could watch it was to actually buy it. So one of the few movies I bought digitally was Anora, and the way that movie's shot, it's shot like a low-budget indie film, and with digital cameras. So it's not going to be the best 4K Blu-ray experience. That's why I'm waiting. Eventually, I'll get that on a sale. It's going to look slick and clean because it is a modern film. But if you're looking for something a little bit more cinematic that jumps up, like, compared to the Blu-ray to the 4K Blu-ray, modern films are just not going to be that. I've been actually meaning to make a video about it. I bought the 4K Blu-ray release for finally after years, because the Steelbook came out, but for the 10th anniversary of Straight Outta Compton, I bought the Steelbook release last month, and that 4K Blu-ray release compared to the Blu-ray release it's nothing. Like, I should have just kept the Blu-ray, but I also had a very standard Blu-ray, and that was one of the times where I was like, maybe I'll get it for the packaging, just because I really like Straight Outta Compton, and I didn't like that I had this cheap Blu-ray, so I'm happy that I upgraded the packaging, but I'm not happy about the quality jump in that, unfortunately. Joe Pesci he's so good in 2 through 4. I love him too. Okay. All right. Hilarious of them. He is so fun. I mean, his opening scene, like when they go out the window, he is so great. He's perfect in those 2. I love the Lethal Weapon. I know you do, David. You're a big fan, just like I am. The entire Lethal Weapon movies are just like, hopefully we get all of them. I think we will. I really, truly believe that this was like just like they did with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I mean, I think they sold pretty well, so I imagine we will get them. They are beloved films from the 1980s. Maybe they're not as beloved as I make them out to be. Maybe you guys, maybe we're like in the minority, but I grew up with those movies, and I always loved them. I mean, my mother's a big fan to this very day, so maybe that's why. Maybe that kind of ruined how I don't know if the entire world feels that way about the Lethal Weapon movies, but I think those are classics, especially from the 80s. I mean, that score, the saxophone, you're never going to do better than that. Off the top of my head, what are some other movies we haven't gotten on 4K Blu-ray that deserve 4K Blu-ray releases? Trying to think, because there are still, obviously there's the big ones like Fight Club. I don't know if we're gonna get that. I think that's gonna be coming pretty soon. We heard about, and this is what I was saying when it was kind of announced, like Minority Report and Catch Me If You Can are going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. Those are 2 that are really high on my list as well. But I heard that those issues were wrapped up in with the rights issues are all an issue for that one right now still. So we'll have to wait and see, which I thought they were screwed by the 20th Century Fox thing. And how they're slowly rolling out those kinds of movies. And Fight Club is one it's crazy we don't got Fight Club yet. This is like one of the greatest movies of the 1990s, arguably David Fincher's best film. I still say 7, and we got 7 on 4K Blu-ray, but we need Fight Club at some point. It's almost like a sin that hasn't come to 4K Blu-ray. We've gotten most of Tom Cruise's movies on 4K Blu-ray. We'll need Lolita at some point. Hopefully, I think that will definitely come in 2026 as Lolita, now that we're getting Eyes Wide Shut, because I believe Lolita will be the only Stanley Kubrick film we haven't gotten on 4K Blu-ray yet. Once that far, at least of his main films. I don't think we got some of his early films yet, so we'll definitely need that on 4K. I think Leave is Humor in Part 3 or 4 was too Too forceful. Sorry. Listen, hey, it's your opinion, mellow fellow. No worries at all. The humor works for me. I get it if it doesn't work for you. We don't judge here. We respect each other's opinions. And if you feel that way, that is cool. Pink Floyd, The Wall, says Rodney Vergert. I hope so. I really hope we get The Wall. That would be great. I mean, we've been getting some musical 4Ks. There's a Hans Zimmer 4K Blu-ray out right now, but The Wall is something I used to watch on VH1 Classic a lot, and honestly, that would be a great 4K Blu-ray, and then have a great Dolby Atmos tracks mixed very well. I think it'd be awesome. I'm definitely on board for The Wall. The Tion movies are sold out, and the Tron. I assume you meant the Tron movies. Yeah, the Tron movies. We knew that was going to happen. I was going to talk more about this tomorrow night on Let's Talk Physical Media. That's a cheap plug for that. 6:45 every single Wednesday. We'll talk physical media news, and maybe a hint about something coming in October as far as Let's Talk Physical Media. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, the Tron stuff sold out so fast, and I really don't like this is what Disney's doing. It's completely like just manipulation of supply and demand. You can definitely, especially since Disney isn't giving us here in the United States the standard editions. Those standard editions are exclusive, like they always are, to like the UK. So if you saw those, which have very nice slip covers, you can't get those in the United States. I was doing the comparison last night on the Atomic Movie Store. If like maybe I'll buy them for like 35 and have them imported, but those came out later. It didn't really add up. It was like about the same amount of money. So I was like, we'll just keep it, unfortunately. But I was a little bit upset about them selling out, because it feels exactly like what happened with the Nightmare on Elm Street 4Ks and with Kingdom of Heaven. It's like collectors want these kinds of movies, and unfortunately they haven't been able to get them, especially when they want to get them, and that really sucks. Oh, I think Dennis is back because I see him added to the stage. Maybe he's back. Not yet. All right, not yet. But Mellow Fellow said Lawrence Arabia is coming back to 4K after an affordable price. Yeah, I still have the Lawrence of Arabia in the Columbia Classics Volume 1. Great 4K Blu-ray release. That was one where that and Gandhi, I was like, I had to have. Columbia Classics Volume 1 is still probably the best release out there as far as those goes. But Lawrence Arabia is definitely one you have to have. David said, I think Lethal Weapon 4 is better than 3. I agree with that. Unfortunately, I'd put 3 as probably the worst in there, even though I do love to see more. What's his name? Jack walks in and he's like, hi, Billy. Shoots him. Bye, Billy. The stuff on the hockey ice. I love all that. The ending, like in that community that they're building and driving the trucks through the fire. All stuff that works for me. But I do think 4 is, I think it's a nice way to wrap up the series, honestly, like with the babies and everything, them finally getting married. It works for me. Is it schmaltzy and cheesy? Absolutely. But the series was built on that. My mom's partner helped build Pink Floyd The Wall for the stage show in the 80s. Oh, that's awesome. Obviously one of the most famous albums of all time. Still my personal favorite Pink Floyd album too is The Wall, even though Pink Floyd's done obviously Dark Side of the Moon. But I always like The Wall. Another one from my mom. My mom was a big fan of The Wall, so she would play like that album a lot. My mom's a big music, and I realized as I've gotten older, I got a lot of my mom's she's probably the reason why I like movies and stuff and art and music in general and just art, because it's just not my dad's thing. My dad's a big sports fan. That's why I'm a big sports fan. You kind of get both from both sides, but I kind of had a little bit different because my family was divorced. So, go to my dad's on the weekend. It was like all sports, but during the week I could play video games and watch movies. This channel was originally supposed to be a combination of all those things, actually. YouTube doesn't like that. So that's why it's mostly focused on physical media and movies. But I got to be honest with you guys. I've gotten the itch lately to play some video games. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, Delta coming out, which is just a remake from 04's Snake Eater. I was a big video game fan, guys, and for me, I miss it. I do miss it sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. So, but I'm committed to movies, so I kind of miss out a little bit sometimes on playing video games. But I still get that itch, and right now I've been getting that itch. I play Madden every year. That still comes out, and scratches the football itch for me. And I wonder if it scratches it for you guys. Are you guys fans of sports? I know that a mellow fellow, he doesn't live in the United States. So I don't even know if he cares about American football. He might care about European football, though, like David, because I know David's into that. And I don't know how his fantasy season is going, but mine was off to a bad start. Lost my first fantasy football game. But what else? I know that I believe where is it? I had another one in here about a movie. What horror movies do you want on 4K that has never been released on Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray? Well, you guys heard about Dead Alive coming to 4K Blu-ray pretty soon. It's getting its screening in October, I believe. So that scan is done. That's the Peter Jackson film. That should get a 4K Blu-ray release. That's been rumored for years. So I don't even think that got a Blu-ray release. I could be wrong on that. I still play games every so often. I've been playing Last of Us 2. I love the game, even though everyone else hates it. I don't hate it. I like The Last of Us both one and Last of Us 1 is one of my all-time favorite games. 2 is good. The controversy that surrounds it, I think, is a little bit stupid because it's just kind of, I don't know. You know why people don't like that game. It's the same reason they didn't like season 2 of the show The Last of Us, but you cannot deny the survival gameplay of those movies. Like, it just hooks you. Like, it's like Resident Evil, but which is another one of my favorite series. Is I love survival horror games. I like being able to like manage your inventory, but I think that those games are amazing. Dennis is back. All right, let's add Dennis to the stage. So, there you are.
Hi, sorry everyone that John probably bored you to tears while I was gone.
I don't know, actually. I think we were having a pretty good conversation, so fuck off.
I heard something about Last of Us, so it had to be pretty good.
We were talking about video. I got into a little bit about video games there, and we were discussing the Last of Us games. I don't know if you ever played them.
I played the first one, and I don't know any controversy about the second one because, as you know, I'm a hermit. I don't have any social media. I don't read on anything or any of that stuff. So I don't know what controversy you're talking about. I thought the first one was pretty good, and I know that the series had some moments that people were not happy about, but the first game, was
Well,
very good.
that's the controversy that they had with the second game. The season 2 of the show is very much the second game.
Oh,
So like that the piece. So it's funny actually because I knew about the controversy from when people were playing the game. So when season 2 of the show came around, I'm like, "Ooh, people are gonna start getting mad now," and like they did. And I finally felt like how book readers are, like with Game of Thrones, like when the Red Wedding rolled around, everyone's like, "Oh, wait till you see what happens there." I had no idea, but like when it came to The Last of Us season 2, I'm like, "Ooh, people are gonna start getting mad soon." And sure enough, like a bunch of sheep, they started getting mad.
that's it. That's it.
um, and I do agree with you on like, and I'll be honest, there are some moments on season 2 and in the game, me personally, I don't agree with, and they do feel a little forceful, but I'm not here to stir up some controversy. But as far as the game and the gameplay goes, I still think Last of Us 2 is a very well made game, even though there are some story elements I don't agree with.
Yeah,
So I'll leave
100%
it there
agree.
because somebody will probably shoot me through the screen if I give my full thoughts. So, and I'm not going to let that happen. I know the world we live in today.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get to our main question, which is from Scotty Guns. Top 10 horror characters. Let's see who is a Michael, J, Freddy, Pinhead, and Chucky fan. Top 5 for me. Well, I think we'll probably have some of those on our list.
Yeah, I feel like some of those just by default land on the list. I did, this was actually a lot harder than I thought because I started running down
Me too.
and I got to like my top nine and was like, all right, who's going to be my 10th? And then I started thinking, I was like, wait a minute, what about him? So I had to change the list. I was like, oh, what about him? And I had to change it. And I kept having to change my list around because I kept forgetting about them because there's so many classic ones that I personally just really love so much, and we'll get into it more. But this was a very good question, very thought provoking for sure.
Yes, it was, and you're 100%. Like I made my list of the characters, like my top 5, and then I like looked up like other people's lists. So I'm like, I'm gonna add some characters that are missing that are gonna upset some people just because it's too many.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I land too. Is that I have a few that are personal, that are high up personals. I have a couple that are on here because they're classics, and then I, I don't know. There's definitely going to be some. My ten spot, I think might upset some people.
Ooh, yeah, the 10 spot was like one where I'm like, where do I go? Where do I go? Because I was like, do I pick a certain character or do I go with the one that I like the most from the movie? And that's what I ended up doing because like certain movies have numerous characters that could make the list.
That is true. That is true. I guess we'll start. My number 10 is a way too early prediction that may fall flat on its face and not be anywhere near as great as I am hopeful for, because I picked the grabber from Black Phone.
Oh, okay. That's it's funny. I was actually thinking about that, but yeah, you're right.
It's a way too early prediction. That's why I put it at 10, just to kind of have the conversation, because I really like the first one. And based on the previews for the second one and all the hype around it and everything, I have really high hopes that this can become the new Freddy, Jason, Michael, the new Jigsaw, like that kind of deal. But again, way too early prediction because we don't even know if the second one's going to be any good and if it'll even carry a third, fourth, fifth movie. I just put it here because I am extremely hopeful that it will get to that point.
I have high hopes for this too. I'll admit I was one of those people when they announced like Black Phone 2. I'm like, what are they doing? And then like they showed the trailer and it's like, is it becoming a supernatural horror franchise? Which is an interesting take. And if it does end up working, I like Scott Derrickson and I like Ethan Hawke. Obviously, me and you are both big Sinister fans. So and we both like Black Phone, so it could go that way. I think they have great chemistry together. And for Ethan Hawke to be signing on to do it again, it makes me believe he actually believes in it.
Yeah, so that's why I put it. Again, is it of all time? Way too early to tell. I mean, we have to wait, see how many movies even come out, and then 20 years from however many movies come out, we can have the discussion. But it's more on here as a discussion piece because the new one's coming out. I know there's a lot of people who didn't enjoy the first one. They thought the story wasn't great. It fell a little flat. I think it was interesting, and I'm hoping it's one of those in so many franchises, the first film just lays the base. So that's why when you see it first, you're like, that didn't feel great. But then once there's two, three, four, five movies, you can go back and really appreciate it for what it does. And I'm hoping that's what this is.
I hope so too. I mean, I listen, I'll be there seeing it, so let's hope. It's a good choice. The mask itself is iconic. Like I love the two side. Like you can take off one part of it, and it still works regardless.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
nice choice. My number 10 is from The Exorcist, and I picked Father Merrin,
Oh, interesting choice.
which is Max von Sydow's character. Like he might not be he's not the main character of the film. He really like opens the movie and then kind of comes in at the end, but he's the guy who stands out in front of the light shining down on him. He's the one who's really gonna actually push this through. I love him in this movie, and Max von Sydow's a great actor, one of the
Yeah.
greatest. But like he's also like he'll do anything. He could be a very serious actor, or he could even be a very funny actor. Like in Needful Things, he plays the devil. Like he's perfect for it.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great actor. And the character, like you said, I mean, you know, while he's not necessarily like the primary, he really is like what drives the film through. So I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, I was trying to like pick the. Thank you, David, for noticing. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know which per character to pick from The Exorcist. I just knew I was going to pick one, but I was like, I'm going to go with Father Merrin because he's definitely my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, no, good choice. Now you make me feel like a weenie because absolutely none of my list are outside the box at all.
I think that might be the only outside the box one because like there's too many classic horror characters that I would have felt bad about if I left off my list.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where my number 9 starts, and I put Chucky from Child's Play.
Well, that's a punt.
Wow, all right.
Yep. My number 9, and it's really off the back of one movie. Like I wasn't even gonna put. I was like back and forth. Do I put this on the list because the franchise became like an action franchise, really? But I'm like, they still dabble in horror. But I'm gonna go with the Xenomorph.
Wow.
Yeah, mainly
Okay.
off the strength of just Alien, not Aliens. Aliens becomes a sci-fi action horror film, but the original
Mm.
Alien, I think it wasn't labeled like Halloween in space because it's like the same thing, like one like xenomorph hunting down people like Michael Myers. There's only one in this movie, and you're petrified of it, so I had to go with the xenomorph.
No, that's a good call, and you in that first I think you're right. The only reason I didn't put like that or Predator, those because even though they have horror elements, I feel like it's easy to forget, especially with the original Alien, because so many things have come out since then that really just made it like a sci-fi action movie. It's hard, like you forget that that first one really was a horror movie. Like that was a terrifying creature, and it's so unique too. It's Jaws in space.
That's what it
There
was,
you go.
Jaws in space. Which,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, Jaws, the shark from Jaws, which is on a lot of people's list. That was another one I was back and forth with, like with the xenomorph. Is it horror? Is it like crossover? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a good call. I take it. I like it, and I remember the first time I ever saw it when the little mouth comes out and like it's also just the effects on it. How slimy it is, all the drool from it and everything. It is so good.
Yeah, that's the same with Predator. Like that's why I was like in between. Like they are technically horror films, but like like the rest of the franchises continue. So I still had to put the xenomorph on there.
Yeah, I agree. And even with the Predator, I loved it. Growing up, that was my favorite. If you had to pick one, I was a Predator guy all the way. But It's an Arnold movie. So, like, I don't view Predator as a scary movie because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's not a horror guy. Like, it's
You
literally
reminds me of my ex. Oh, if the xenomorph reminds you of your ex, that's tough.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Like, don't you have a xenomorph type ex too?
We don't talk about that. She's like Beetlejuice. You mention her too many times and she'll appear.
You just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I'm at peace for the first time in a long time. Let's not open that book.
All right. Yeah. Hey, listen. There's another character on here on my list that you might, if you say their name too many times, they appear too.
Oh, well, I think I know who, and it's probably my number 8. So you're upset. Candyman.
Yeah, that's a punt, slight punt actually. Well, my
Okay,
number
good.
eight's a punt from you from earlier, which you just mentioned, and that was Chucky.
Okay, yeah.
So it
So
wasn't that
he's
high of a punt.
yeah, one up. That's not bad. I mean, I listen, I put him on here. I don't personally, I'm not a huge Child's Play guy. The first one's really good. I don't mind some of the sequels. They do get a little silly, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, like all
Watch your
that
fucking
stuff.
mouth. All
Well,
right.
I didn't say they were bad. I said they get silly.
No, Seed of Chucky's atrocious. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. But Bride of Chucky's the best one in the franchise.
Yeah,
See,
yes, the one that
David
stole my
remembers.
DVD collection. Yeah, she sure did. She had to restart from scratch on that one. And then Amazon screwed me. I can't even get my Freddy movies back because they sold out.
I know. I checked this morning about that, about the steelbooks. You're not the only one that got screwed on the steelbooks, though. It's like most people did. I think most people, if you got it, you got lucky.
Yeah. But yeah, so Chucky, I think he's great. He's obviously iconic. He's everywhere. Also, fun fact, my dad is terrified of Chucky.
Really?
Horrified of him. I don't know why. Big tough dad. You know him. He's
Yeah.
literally not afraid of anything. He scares everyone who meets him. And he is terrified of Chucky.
It's scary. I mean, I get that. I will actually. It's funny, William. No offense. I'm gonna have to mention Seed of Chucky one more time. When I watched Seed of Chucky, I was watching it with a guy who was petrified of the movie too, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? This movie's fucking stupid." He's like, "Chucky just scares me." But
Yeah.
I actually watched the original Child's Play last night. We're really in the spooky season, and Faith wanted to watch that. I watched a lot last night, as you can tell, and the original Child's Play is great. I love seeing. I just can't believe that that movie has 2 Academy Award nominated actors in it. You got Brad Dourif, who was nominated for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Chris Sarandon for Dog Day Afternoon. These 2 big time act, and they're in a movie with a killing doll. But the first one's still good, and I agree with William. The second one is the best. Third one's terrible, and then I like Bride, and then for me, that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be one we should do on our remake, original versus remake we could do. I think it's probably an easy deal, but I've never even seen the remake. There's the TV series also. I think that's the thing, like when they get too popular and all of a sudden there's remakes and spin-offs and series and all that stuff that come out of it, I think it falls off a bit. And like even the new polished version of Chucky that I've seen pictures of, it doesn't hold a candle to the original one. That original Chucky doll in the first movie is petrifying. Even though it's so silly, he is a scary character.
Yeah, he's very, and he keeps coming back too. And it's a serial kill. The first one, that's what I like about the first one. The first one is actually it's kind of genuinely scary because I also really like in the opening scenes. It's my favorite scene in the whole series of him actually putting himself in the doll.
Yeah.
It's the only time we ever get to really see Brad Dourif in the series. And I love that scene. I love the original one. It's like shot in Chicago, so you see stuff like in Candyman in the movie. So the original one's William said he liked part 3. Part 3, man. The only thing with it came out like 6 months after part 2, and Andy ages like 10 years up. Drives me nuts.
Well, never said it was full of logic, but I still think Chucky, again, iconic. There's most of the rest of my list, essentially, with the exception of maybe my number 7, are the people who like anytime you just Google most iconic horror characters, every picture, every T-shirt, every movie, everything is these guys, and Chucky's one of those. He is always on that list of most iconic horror characters, and for good reason. I think even he's not unique in how the series falls off. Every single one of these characters we're going to talk about falls off because horror is just the bastard stepchild of Hollywood, and if they get bored and need to make money, they just print out some. They're just like, whoever wants to do it, do it. And I feel like that happens with all of them. But when we're looking originals, Child's Play, even part 2, Bride of Chucky obviously brought us the new doll that everybody loves also. He is just an absolute classic character.
100%. And I actually haven't seen the remake. So you, Mr. Smelly Potato. So if you only saw the remake, I'm curious. I want to see that. I know it's like like we talk about on original versus remake. It's like a reimagining. It's not like a full like shot for shot remake. They do something different. So I am interested. People do love Child's Play though. People love that show too.
Yeah, I mean, we could throw it onto the list, spooky season original versus remake, if we don't have anything else. We have our next one lined up, but maybe after that we could do Child's Play. So just so we're not doing all the same ones as always.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting.
So that was your 8?
Yep. So we're up to your 7.
My 7 is a personal favorite. Only put this low because of, I mean, the absolute star power above it. But that's the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Ah, I knew this was going to be on your list. It's not on mine, but this is one where I saw the list. I'm like, Dennis will have that.
100%. I absolutely love it. The first two. This is the same thing like we were talking about Chucky. The Child's Play kind of falls off the movies and the series and everything. But 1 and 2 of this, I think the Creeper is one of the coolest characters in all of horror. He is just the way he looks, the iconic scarecrow scene where he's up on the perch pretending to be a scarecrow, just the whole getup, his whole attitude. I think he is one of the coolest characters in horror.
He is. It's very unique how he comes back every like what is it, 27 years he comes back.
I think so.
And the guy gets his whole life together. He goes out, registers his vehicle, and then he's like, "All right, now I'm on my mission. I'm gonna go out there and fill some body parts."
That would be the the funny video. Him online at the DMV, just excited. Everyone's all miserable, and they're like, "What are you smiling about?" He's like, "It's been so long. I'm so ready to be back."
And then he's just like, and then the video is like him just like slowly getting angrier. He's at, ooh, like you filled out the 1040. You were supposed to fill out the 820. You're gonna take this right here, and then you're gonna wait in that line over there. And he's just like, I'm fucking taking your eyes.
He's like, I'm registering my license plate. It's a custom one. It says "Be eating you," and they're like, "Ooh, that was taken. Looks like 4 years ago." And he's like, "Who took it?"
I'm gonna need that name.
That's the plot for Jeepers Creepers 5. It's gonna be him hunting down the person who stole his license plate.
Well, let's hope that they'll probably try and make it.
We should. It won't be any worse than any of
That's true.
the third and the reborn or rebirth, whatever it was. We could make something better than that.
What a shame. I remember your disappointment with them.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Pennywise is 27 years. How many years does the Creeper come back?
I feel like it's like every 27 years on the 27th day of the whatever. It's weird. It's very specific. Pennywise is just the year. The Creeper is like to the day, like the 27th year and the 27th week or
It's
something.
22 years until the 23rd year. So he's allowed to be back. So he comes back on the 22nd year until the 23rd year, it says.
Okay, so it's for 1 year he's allowed to hunt.
So Pennywise is 27. These fucking guys and the rules.
Seriously, just be men and just hunt all the time.
I know, they gotta go rest.
Seriously, they act like they do so much when they're awake.
I know, they just eat people.
Seriously.
Yeah,
that was my 7.
My 7 is it hurts a little bit to put this low because he's the star of my favorite horror film of all time, and that's Candyman. But I mean, the sequels aren't that great, and the reboot, he's not really a main character in it.
Okay, so that was a punt from my 8. So only one spot again. I mean, listen, I think, and it seems to be the theme of the discussion. We almost exclusively have to go based on the merits of the original because almost every single one of these horror movies has a significant drop off at some point in the franchise.
Unfortunately, Candyman for me, it's like the original one's such a classic, and then the two after are, and then the remake I like more than most people, but he's not the main character of it. Like it actually takes the legacy of Candyman and like explores it different than just being more than just Tony Todd in the original. But Tony Todd in the original is phenomenal with the bees in his mouth, and he didn't believe in me, so I was obliged to come. Like and it's the score. I love it.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those, like, a lot of people on here, even though they're like iconic horror characters, they're not that scary. Like I was not scared of the Creeper. Like I don't think he's scary. I think he's really cool. The Grabber, not that scary. I just think his mask and everything is cool. Candyman, I remember the first time I saw it, I actually was afraid. Like, it's a very scary movie, and he's a very scary character.
He is because you can't. There's no way to escape him.
Yeah, and I think that's why he definitely belongs up here because he, again, I wish I could put him higher. There's just so many people that are more iconic and have had a little bit better treatment. But in terms of fear, he might genuinely be the one on here that I am most afraid of.
Yeah, he's petrifying. It's just he suffers from what a lot of men suffer. He falls to the obsession of a woman, and it brings him down.
Yep, seen it too many times.
A lot of great men, a lot of great men with hook hands going down.
Yeah. So that's my going to my 6 now, right?
Your sex, yep.
So this one is definitely not one I'm interested in having sex with, and that is Leatherface.
Leatherface did not make my list. Yeah, like I
Okay.
told you, some iconic characters were gonna have to fall off because of other people.
Well, this is why I like doing the list together because there are definitely like in other lists I mentioned it a lot. There are some characters or some movies or directors, whatever it is, that I leave off because I'm very confident you're going to also mention them. And I think it's better when we have lists that maybe, 3 or 4 things are the same, but I like when we have a mix of it. So I am not upset that he's not on your list. I put him on here just because, again, first, he's iconic. He's also like the most ridiculous. In the first couple movies, he is just like a Looney Tunes character. I don't even know how to describe him.
No, I know he's a I love him in the first one. Obviously, my favorite one's Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, but the character of actually Leatherface, he became one of the most iconic villains, definitely because of the first one. He's petrified, even though he's a little bit like silly and stupid in like a lot of them, but he's scary as hell. When the door opens in the first one and he's got that red background behind him, grabs the girl, that's petrifying.
Yeah, yeah. In the first one, he's got a lot of good scares. In the remakes, he's also because he was recast as a bigger,
Yeah.
burlier guy, and he's really scary in that one. I will say, like in parentheses next to Leatherface, I cannot remember his name. You'll know, but the in the remakes, the actor who plays the sheriff,
Oh, Arlie Ernie.
dude, he is a close. He's a runner up for my number 6 spot. He is perfect in those remakes as the psychotic sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, he was like made to play those characters because he's perfect. Like he's got the perfect voice for it. That's why he's so good in like Full Metal Jacket. And it's funny because he doesn't like David Fincher because David Fincher tried to like ground him a little bit too much. And he like talks about how in Seven he didn't get to play the character he wanted to play. I feel like because he wants to play characters like this, like in the Texas Chainsaw Man, he wants to play these over the top characters and give like these big performances.
Yeah, and he does. In the remakes, he is unbelievable. I think he outshines Leatherface in those, in my opinion. He is the absolute star of that one because he just the way he carries himself is very just it's like you said, over the top. But I had to give it to Leatherface just because the series is built around him. I mean, everyone knows him. If you mention Texas Chainsaw, they say Leatherface. They even had the stupid origin movie and all that stuff. So we don't talk about those. To me,
No,
there's like 3 films in the franchise, maybe 4 films in the franchise I'm okay with watching, and the rest is like, I can't believe even happened.
no, I agree. I mean, listen, I'm not the world's biggest Texas Chainsaw fan, but the original's a classic. The second one's the best in the series. And then, I had a soft spot for the remake that came out on Netflix a few years ago. I've learned that a lot of people don't like that one, but I thought it was pretty good.
I don't like it because it was just too, and this is, old man yelling at the sky. It was too like, I don't know. Like I mentioned before, I don't have social media. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't like any of that stuff. So it was very like whatever Gen thing, like, oh, we're gonna do this and that and tweet this and tweet and we're gonna TikTok that and the whole thing. It was very like modernized, and I was just kind of, yeah, like I didn't. It took me out of it.
I get that. You hurt me, Ella. I didn't say I loved it. I just said I didn't think it was as bad as everybody else made it out to be. I thought that people were a little hard on it. I thought
Let
that
them.
bus sequence was really good in it. Is it a great movie? It suffers from, this would be a good conversation for original versus remake. It does everything that you would expect a modern remake to do. but I didn't think
Y
it was the worst thing in the world. I maybe it's because I went into it with the expectations of I'm not a big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan. This is going to be horrible, and I was like pleasantly surprised.
yeah.
Like they
I
could be
mean,
one of those.
I think to me the original Texas Chainsaw 2, I will give you that. You're the one who put me onto that one, and then the remakes. The '03 and I can't remember when the other one, the prequel to that came out.
Oh six,
I maybe it was
maybe oh
'05 or
five.
'06.
Yeah, that area.
Those 4, I think, are really, really good, and then, like, you have all the ridiculous ones. You have the one where the girl gets the house and he's an idiot living in the basement and she has to feed him or he gets mad. You have Leatherface, the origin story where you find out he's an orphan who had an older brother or something like that. It just everything gets so convoluted. But those 4, the original 1 and 2, and then the remake and the prequel to the remake, I think are where Leatherface gets to shine and really own the movie.
100%. Even though I agree, he's a great iconic character. Just missed my list. I was like, ah, this was gonna be one that's a tough cut, but I had to do it. Morning, Jeff. Glad you can make it in here, buddy. That's our channel director, John Doe Juggalo, who has a great YouTube channel as well. So make sure you guys check him out because he's just a all around good guy too. I just received the Arrow video Texas Chainsaw 2, Blind Buy. Ooh, I hope you enjoy it. I love Texas Chainsaw 2. Um, David, I'm just gonna tell you right now, best scene in the movie involves a chainsaw store.
And the most uncomfortable one involves a bathtub and a chainsaw in a DJ studio.
It's a great studio. They put that together and put those lights up and everything.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But yeah, so Leatherface, that was my 6. What'd you have at 6?
Number 6 might be a punt. I have Norman Bates.
No, he did not. It was a tough cut, but a cut from my list.
Well, I had to have Norman Bates on my list, not just because of just the original Psycho, but I like the sequels too. I've come around on them, and for the most, and he's great. Anthony Perkins is in them, and it really explores the character of Norman Bates and what makes him tick and could send him over the edge. I personally just think he's one of the most iconic characters of all time, especially with the split personality and everything he's going through. You feel bad for the guy in the second one too, so it makes him more than just a slasher villain. He's actually a tragic character, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's funny. The only reason I didn't put him on here is because, and we've had the discussion, but I haven't seen the sequels. I want to because you told me you went through and watched them all and really appreciated them. I didn't put him on here just because it's a one movie character to me because I haven't seen the other ones. And again, really, really tough cut for me. It's just some of the other people on here I had to put. But I agree with you. He is one of the most iconic and arguably is one of the characters that really spawned what we have with everyone else on these lists.
100%. He's one of the characters that started it all. Then he came around in the 1980s, like, and became another. I mean, people didn't love the sequels when they came out, which is a shame. I even heard somebody on the Ringer recently, which I love the rewatchables. Bill Simmons knocked the sequel Psycho 2, and I was hurt. I thought it was great. I think it deserves it. Good morning. Love this topic. Thanks, Our Life in Horror. Again, if you guys aren't subscribed to Our Life in Horror, you are truly missing out. Tiffany Valentine will always be on my list. I don't blame you at all for that. I could have picked a lot of characters from the Psycho 2. Mr. What's his name? Mr. Tooney, just great sleaze bag.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing as we talk about it, because there are definitely great characters who aren't the villain. Like we were talking about the sheriff from the remakes, and we're talking about um your first one from The Exorcist, like people that you wouldn't expect who just in the movie really kind of steal that movie, but they're not the iconic character. I think horror movies have a lot of that.
Yeah, that's that. I was like, we could have done a whole list of like the top 10 side characters. Like for me, like I'm not a big zombie fan, but I love Return to the Living Dead. And the one character in that movie, with all the black goo on him and everything, and he's like how he says brains, like, and he's
Yeah.
moving around. Like I was like, I wanted to put him on the list, but I'm like, that's a reach with like most iconic horror movie characters. I'm like, people think you can't do that, but I love him. Duke in Psycho 3 is brilliant. Duke in Psycho 3 is brilliant, and Duke in Jason Goes to Hell is brilliant as well.
I was just gonna say, dude, the name Duke makes me think Jason Goes to Hell just for you.
I love Jason Goes to Hell.
My God. All right, so we're in the top 5 now.
Okay, yeah, we're starting to get down to the classics, I assume.
Yeah, so 5, for me, it's tough I put him at 5, but the 4 above him, I just personally enjoy more, so this might be a punt. My number 5 is Mr. Frederick Krueger.
Yeah, that's a punt.
Alright.
Uh, my 5 is Jack Torrance.
Nope, didn't make my list.
Yeah, again, one movie, but I feel like Jack Torrance, when you think about horror, again, maybe I get a little too personal here because I'm just like a huge Jack Nicholson fan, and this is Jack Nicholson doing Jack Nicholson things, watching him lose his fucking mind for 2.5 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna love that, and I love his performance and like this movie. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your fucking brains in. Like it's just classic moments like that. Obviously, I don't condone hitting your wife with a baseball bat. You shouldn't do that. But in this movie, it's just great to watch this guy just lose it, like in this hotel, in the Overlook Hotel, where he thought he was gonna escape like reality for a little while and write his book. And it didn't work out for him, unfortunately. Things did not go as planned.
No, it sure didn't. It is a I will give you it's a good character. I think my thing is the movie The Shining as a whole isn't one that even makes my top, like, in spooky season when it comes to what I'm gonna watch. I guess because it to me, it doesn't feel like a Halloween season movie, I
It's
get
more of
it's
a
set in the
winter horror
winter.
film, like The Thing, I would say.
Yeah, so it's a great movie. I think that's the only reason he didn't make my cut is I fall more into the kinda classic slasher area than this. This is more, I don't like psychological horror, because like you said, he's losing his mind the whole time, and there's a lot of haunted house stuff in it too, and, so that's the only reason he didn't make my list. He's a great character, though. I mean, obviously, you talk about iconic, everybody knows how many quotes from this. I mean, they're all iconic from him, so a great choice. Just unfortunately, like you said, this was tough to cut people.
You have to cut people, and that's the thing. And I mean, it's good though; it gives us more characters to talk about because I know we're gonna have like some of the top ones on here together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree, David. Definitely in the winters when I'm not watching The Shining this spooky season. I don't really watch it the spook. I don't watch that and The Thing anymore in spooky season just because there's already too much, and then well, we got to have some stuff for the winter, right?
I agree, 100%.
So we're at four
Um,
now, right?
we're at 4. Now this one is, I love, and is getting a series on HBO Max, and that is Pennywise.
That's your number four.
That's my number 4.
Wow, you're a fucking idiot. That's also my number four.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, alright, we got one we matched up.
What? You never saw The Shining? You gotta fix that. You'll love it,
Yeah,
I promise. Definitely, John. The Thing also went one for me. But yeah, talk about it first. I mean, I completely agree with you about Pennywise.
I love the character. I love the original, even though it's like a cheesy made-for-TV version of the movie. I think that Pennywise in that one is awesome. The new one is incredible. Is it Bill Skarsgård is the brother
Yep, Bill
who plays him?
Skarsgård. Yep.
He is so good as Pennywise. I loved both it and it, chapter 2 or part 2. I'm so excited for the series that's coming out on HBO Max now with it. I think just overall as a character, this is one like we mentioned Candyman was scary. I remember when I was, 12 and I first got to see the original It movie, and Pennywise scared the crap out of me.
Oh, Tim Curry was petrifying. And it's funny because that literally is a TV movie. And it's like you don't really get to see too much. So a lot of it is the performances in it. And it works so well. It's very much of 1990. But I like I like It Chapter 1 more than I like It Chapter 2. I just don't think they can nail the ending of the movie no matter which way they spin it, just because I was telling David yesterday, one of the rare books I ever read was It, and they've just never been able to fully capture that on the big screen. But Pennywise, they nailed 100% twice. Like you get
Yeah.
two iconic performances of Pennywise the Clown, Tim Curry in the original, and then Bill Skarsgård in It Chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I think they did just enough to make them different,
Hmm.
so it's not like a rip-off where you're like, "Oh, well, he's not as good," they're different enough that you're like, "Wow, these are both incredible," and the Tim Curry performance, I mean, 12-year-old me was afraid to take a shower because I thought Pennywise was coming out of the drain, like in the gym scene when the kid's showering, like, so many things like that, just absolutely horrifying with Pennywise, and again, he's one of the extreme rare cases in horror where I don't think there's a bad version of him yet.
Not yet. They've been able to nail at least Pennywise the clown so far, and they nailed it with actors like Bill Skarsgård. Like you think that I found out that like that's not even special effects. The things he does with his eyes and the drooling, like that's incredible. Like commitment to your performance. Like Tim Curry, he's playing it almost like how Jack Nicholson plays the Joker. He's like over the top and he's
Yeah.
just banging out jokes, but it works so well because it's like he's still a murdering clown. Like he's trying to make you laugh, but he's gonna fucking eat you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I didn't even yeah, there is stuff in the book. I know for a
Yeah,
fact the ending of part 1 with the kids where they make the blood oath,
it's not
that's
blood.
not
That's
yeah,
not
that ain't
blood.
that's not how it happens in the book.
No, a
Um,
lot of boys became men that day, though.
yeah, they did, and I think that you're getting an NC-17 rating, or an unrated, and you're not getting in theaters if you try to pull that off.
Yeah, no, not with kids, especially.
Yeah, maybe in Serbia because, Serbian film was allowed to exist, so
Yeah, but they don't care there.
but yeah, I think they nailed it. Pennywise to me is just one of the best, and they keep nailing it. That, like I said, one of the very rare instances, in my opinion, in horror where they just kill it every time. You know?
The only amount he's too scary. Look at where they were. That's true. I guess people wouldn't be like too thrilled. That's one. I think it's It Chapter 2. Is that with the little girl at the baseball game?
Yes, under the bleachers.
That's petrifying. And you're right. Like I wouldn't even approach him. But you gotta also. I look at it like kids are innocent, and like sometimes they will trust people, and she might just saw a clown and like think he's trustworthy.
Yeah,
That was my whole theory on that. So I do kind of agree, David, but I think it's like two different versions. Me personally, I don't care what the clown is. I just don't want to go near a clown.
yeah. No, not interested. I mean, it could be you could dress up as a clown and call my name, and I'm not coming near you.
I don't even have to put the white face paint on. My face is already white enough.
You said it.
Right? Listen, I know what I am, and it's a skin disease.
Oh my god. Anyway,
All right, let's go to number 3.
number
I
3,
bet we
my
have.
3.
Oh, actually, no, because you had one down lower. That's right. I'm curious now. What's missing?
So my 3 is Ghostface.
Ghostface didn't make my list. Do you want to know why, though?
Okay, let's hear it.
Because Ghostface is just a person wearing a Halloween costume.
Yes.
Different people play him in every single movie, and they all
Yeah.
end up dying. I could be Ghostface, and I just can't. I don't know. I don't think if the character of Ghostface is iconic as the film series, just because, even though his face is on everyone, just because it's legitimately just a Halloween costume.
You wish you could be Ghostface.
No, I don't, because you think he's clumsy now. I'm not even getting in the front door.
Yeah, you're the scary movie version.
100%. I don't even think I get that far. I think I trip walking up the stairs, and the knife goes in my chest and penetrates my heart. And like people, like there's a dead guy out here. What a bunch of losers!
Get this
Screw
faith
this
character out of here.
Fuck her, right?
She's banned.
I should block her. I could do it right now.
No, I do get it. I guess it really isn't a character as much as it's like a costume, but I just feel like everyone knows it. Everyone's been it for Halloween. It's the movie is based on The Mask, and I understand that it's not like a Jason, a Michael, a Freddy, a Pennywise, but you have to give credit to it because it even has a name. I mean,
Mhm.
like, it's almost like an entity, like the costume is the entity. It doesn't matter who's under it because it carries the franchise.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I get it. Listen, when I looked up everyone else's list, I saw Ghostface on there, and that was like it was 3 characters on the fence about the Xenomorph, the shark from Jaws, and Ghostface. I was just like, do they count? And I ended up just going with one of them with the Xenomorph, and like I had him low just because of like I told you why.
Yeah. No, and I respect that. I just put it high, I guess, because it's just like Pennywise. I think all the movies are good,
Mm-hmm.
and the
100. Well,
character.
the
I guess
films themselves, yeah, 100%. I
you,
agree
I
with you.
guess you could say it's not a character, but like the entity of Ghostface in all of those movies is just, I think, is awesome, iconic. Everyone knows it. Like I said, it. If we're going like most iconic characters, you have to include that, even though it's not one person, because everybody knows it.
No, I mean, I agree. I you know what? I support your argument, even though I went a different way. I agree, and most people probably agree with you in comparison to me. Only David looks like he agreed with me. So, you know,
Yeah, so how is this gonna happen when we get on this three-way call? I don't know. I don't think there's any referee. You guys seem to land on the same side of the fence here.
we'll see. We'll see. You'll have to defend yourself.
I guess so.
My number three, I'm gonna guess, is a punt. Jason.
It is a punt.
Okay, and then I bet we have the same exact number two. Then.
No, we don't, because the punt to number two is Jason.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. All right. I see what you did there. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Jason, obviously, my top three are the most stereotypical top three that you probably could have predicted, but I didn't think I could go any other way. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I thought he would be your number one if I'm being honest, because you were the biggest Friday the 13th fan I know.
I still am and love him, but in my age, my number one guy has kind of taken that. Now, it's difficult because the way that I had to do this one and two is merits of the original exclusively, and even make yeah, you should be. I'm gonna fly over the Atlantic to you.
We can find him. I know where he is in Ireland. I don't think it'll be too hard. He's tall and lanky. We'll get him.
Listen, my passport's good for another 2 years. We can get him.
Oh, I got to renew mine. That's all right. I'll get in the cargo ship and get down there with the animals.
Just get in my suitcase.
I'm not very tall. I could do it.
But yeah, I put Jason here because he I guess it's a mood thing. My one and two could swap at any given moment, but he had to be up here to me because I love every single one of the movies, except for one of them, which you know, and it's your favorite because you just love to be mean to me.
Well,
But
you like Jason X too? I thought you weren't a big fan of that one either.
yeah, I mean the thing is like you have to respect it for what it became. Like, and we'll get to my number one in a minute, but what Jason became was just they knew what they were doing, where they were like, all right, this is just about Jason and killing people. It almost became Final Destination.
Yeah,
What ridiculous ways can we kill people with him? And it did kind of enter the comedy realm, but they
hmm
knew it, and that's why they did it. Instead of trying to pretend like it was serious, they never went the route of some of the other people who, now that I remember a punt from you before, I know who's up here, but with illegitimate children and grandchildren and cousins and nephews, and the Friday the 13th through and through is just, yep, Jason died here and he murders people who come back.
Yeah, you could basically. It might have been you we were talking about. You could grab any Friday the 13th film and watch it, and it doesn't matter. Like the original one might not have Jason until the very end, but he becomes the franchise. And by the time Jason Lives rolls around, after everything that happened in New Beginning, how people were like devastated that it wasn't Jason, even though it's still just a guy in the mask. I still think like that for me is when the franchise takes off. I love Jason Lives and Jason Goes to Hell. I don't really like the other. What's the part 7? What's the name of that one?
It's not the Takes a Ferry one, right?
No, that's Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Takes a Trip to Manhattan. No, the one where he's basically playing with Firestarter. What's the one called?
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, what the hell is that one called? I know what you're talking about though, with
It's part
the
7. I just don't remember.
telekinesis girl. I'm looking it up
Yeah.
right now. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that one, I mean, and she like makes his
New
mask
Blood. That's
New
it.
Blood, yeah.
Yeah, because 5's a new beginning. Yeah,
Yeah.
the New Blood. Yeah, this is the one with the tail, which is crazy to me because Jason Goes to Hell is my favorite one. So much of the 1980s, and they're like, I just feel like when they make these movies, they put like 12 people in the room and like they decide how they're gonna make it. And like someone was like, I was just reading Firestarter the other day. Big fan. Any way we can take this and put it in this franchise? And the guy at the head who was eating his lunch was like, yeah, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, they're throwing the money at us. Who cares?
7 is the worst. I agree, Jason. I love Jason. Everyone loves Jason Takes Manhattan. I don't understand. Am I the only person who doesn't like Jason Takes Manhattan?
Yes, you are.
My
Or,
God.
wait a minute. Now I don't know if I can trust David. Maybe he's saying that to agree with me on something, but he doesn't mean it.
I don't know. You like Takes Manhattan. Matt likes Take. I've never met another person. I'm the only person who I talk to, which is myself in the mirror, about like how bad Jason Takes Manhattan is. He's barely in Manhattan.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I mean, I do agree with you. When we first talked about it, you did say it should be called Jason Takes a Ferry to Manhattan because 90% of the movie is on the boat. So I agree with you on that. He's
And
in
last I
Manhattan for
checked,
5
Camp
seconds.
Crystal Lake is, first of all, it's a lake. I don't know how they even have an outlet to the ocean there. Whatever. But anyway, even so, New Jersey and New York are not that far apart. It's a short boat trip,
Yeah.
a short one.
Well, they took 6 years to get there.
I know. It's ridiculous. I have, and and I'll sit here and defend Jason Goes to Hell, which somebody knocked me yesterday because I said it's body swapping. I don't know what I said in my video about it, but it was body. He's basically the worms going person to person. I love that one, and I understand why people don't.
Yeah, that one's a little rough. Talk about, like, I don't know. You wanna talk about
That could be a
messed up,
lie.
like, people get mad about the one where Jason's not really the killer,
I like that one.
but, like, the one you love is the worm. So, like, he's not really in that one you know what I mean?
I know he's only in the beginning and the end when he finally comes back because they set him up in the first in that one. Which I mean, what an FBI tactical team! We're gonna lure Jason in with exactly what he loves. We'll get young women and drugs, and he'll show up. And sure enough, he does.
Yeah, and then they blow him away, dude. They blew,
Oh my
like, a
god, they lit him up
10-year
like a
budget on all that grenade launchers and AR-15 and tanks and all the floodlights, and I mean, Jesus, they went all in on this.
and it didn't even work. He still came back because they didn't know he was a worm.
That's right, and at his core, he's nothing but a worm.
Nope, that's what we learned.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why I put him at 2 just because he is consistent. I think, like you said when we were talking about it, anyone who's never seen it, you could just hand them any Friday the 13th and say, "Just watch this." You don't like, it doesn't matter if you've seen anything before or anything after. You can watch any of them at any point and be totally fine.
100%. I agree. That was our
2.
number three, right? That's your two. So my number two is I'm pretty sure your number one, and that's Michael Myers.
That is correct.
Yes, I guess we could talk about him right now, which makes sense. I Michael Myers is obviously iconic, and he just keeps going.
Yeah. That's why I think, I now listen, he suffers the same fate, and like I kinda said before, ridiculous storytelling later on with
Corey
nieces
Cunningham.
and yeah, I mean, you got nieces and daughters and wives and cousins and Busta Rhymes is in. I mean, it just it's ridiculous. But I went on the merits of how great are the movies. Now, I I like all the Friday the 13th, but I think that Halloween the original is better than all of them.
That's a fair point. I don't know if I put Halloween and Halloween 3 above Jason Lives. I might put
Sh-
Halloween 3
sh-
above Jason
sh-
Lives.
shut up. Shut your mouth.
I
We're
know
talking
how
about Michael Myers.
I know we're talking about Michael Myers, but if I'm putting the films, Halloween 3, which doesn't include Michael, is amazing.
It's another discussion.
Nobody really comes, and I get that, William. Yeah, Jason is great, and these top three for me, it's like I can go back and forth. Michael, though, the reason why I don't have him at number one is like you said, it's the movies. Like I like Halloween 1, I like Halloween 2, I love 4. Then Halloween 5 and 6 are terrible. H2O's fine. Resurrection, Trick or Treat, Michael's fucking stupid. I don't like the Rob Zombie ones. I like the 2017 Halloween, and I think Halloween Kills. It's such a shame when it ends because I love Halloween Kills. I think that captures the holiday perfect and just Michael doing his thing and destroying the town. I love it. That's like Michael, me, Michael. But then then he has to be a father figure to Corey in the next one and like teach him how to kill, and it just ruins it.
Yeah, he falls off. It's just one of those things where, again, the first, and I personally, I know that this is one of those, very split things. I don't mind the Rob Zombie
I know
one.
you like it.
I don't love the second one he did where Michael's unmasked, just like a nomad, walking the land and hunting and fishing and getting in touch with nature. Like that one can never exist. I don't care. But the Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then again the remake Halloween and Halloween Kills, not remake, but they come back to it. All of those I think are great. And I just really, again, it's really just how good the movie is itself. I think Michael Myers takes the cake. Personal, I like Jason more just personally because I like all his movies. I like him as a character. I think the problem though is like Michael, with the exception of the really stupid eyebrows they decided to put on his mask,
Oh, that was bad.
he is just Michael the whole time. Jason does go through some really stupid looks for quite some time until pretty much Kane Hodder nails it. And
Hmm.
then even in the '09 remake, he is absolutely awesome in the '09 remake. But he does go through some really stupid, like green button-up collared shirts with his khaki and tool belt on, like real like Farmer Joe kind of looks that are just terrible. Where Michael is consistently the jumpsuit and the mask, and I think that's what kind of edged him into the one slot. Just consistency in terms of the presentation, except for the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I agree. I agree. Like and the way they write him in the first one is why I love him, is that he's just pure evil. Like that's why I've always been a fan. That's why I'm not a big fan of the Rob Zombie one. It's like when you try and humanize him, I don't think it works because I think it's just easy to explain. Like I know that some people might not like that explanation. Like, what is that? Like, where does he come from? They try and explain it in like the Thorn trilogy of movies, like he's a part of the cult and this whole thing, and that's why it happens. I don't need all that. I don't need explanations. I like that he's just pure evil and just out here, killing people and nobody knows why. That works for me. No Annie Wilk. She would have been on my list, I think. That's from Misery. She's terrible. I'll admit that.
She's
that
terrible.
breaking someone's leg like that. It's horrible.
Yeah. Um, well, you have to understand for the Rob Zombie Halloweens, he's got to find a part for his wife.
Always got to find. Even in the sequel, like they still had to find a way to shoehorn her in there.
Yeah, so I mean, he's gonna rewrite the movie to make sure his wife gets a role. So he rewrote it to tell the story so he could be the mom. Which I mean, listen,
Some people like Sherry Moon Zombie. We have to be fair. I had somebody tell me a couple days ago at work that like that was their queen.
listen. I don't mind her in some stuff. I think in like House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, in that series, she's fine. I
Oh, she's
hated Lords of Salem.
yeah, Lords of Salem. That's my least favorite Rob Zombie movie, and I'd probably put 31 as his best.
Yeah, 100%. And in the Halloween, I genuinely like, and I think this we always have this discussion with original versus remake. Do you just shot for shot remake a movie, or do you try to kind of add your own flair to it? I think that's what he did. I think there's a lot of confusion about it too, because the first story that I read about it was that, Rob Zombie reached out to John Carpenter, was like, dude, I'm gonna redo this. Is that okay? And John Carpenter is basically like, yeah, I don't care, go for it, dude. Make it your own movie. I'm happy for you to do so. Rob did it, and then John Carpenter just one day decided, no, this movie sucks. Rob Zombie sucks. And it's so there's a lot of controversy around it because I feel like they like didn't.
I
I don't
love
know.
John Carpenter. I'm a big John Carpenter fan. Big fan of his movies. John
Yeah,
Carpenter suffers today from what I think Bret Hart suffers from. So if you're a Bret Hart fan and you know his bitterness, I think John Carpenter, unfortunately, the movie business broke him down and he gets a little bitter.
yeah, and that's like what I've seen with his interviews. So not that listen, I'm not one of these like Rob Zombie fanboys who's going to die on the hill that he's the greatest horror guy. If you like his style, he's great for you. He has a very, very particular style of making movies. And I understand that, the whole point of the original Michael was he's just evil. It's said in the movie, he's just pure evil. There's no emotion. There's no human behind his eyes. He's evil. And Rob Zombies explores why. Why is he this person? Who's the human Michael that became this killer and everything? Um, so I understand why people don't like it, but I do think, like you kind of said about the Netflix Texas Chainsaw, I feel like his Halloween gets a bad rap. If you go back and rewatch it and just watch it as a horror movie, don't think of it as remaking the original Halloween. It is really good and explores things in a really good way. It just rivals John Carpenter's, and I think people get very gatekeepery about it, where you can't touch the original, and even John Carpenter, like you said, Mr. Bret Hart syndrome is sitting there, screaming and yelling, it sucks. It's nothing compared to what I did. And it's like, listen, he's trying to do his own thing.
Yeah, if Bret Hart was if Bill Goldberg made that movie, Bret Hart would be having a fit.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that's why I put Michael. Like I said, he's consistent presentation, and I really like a handful of his movies. I think stand out just above. Friday the 13th is easy watching to me. If I'm bored, if I got nothing to do, if it's a rainy day, and I just want to throw something on, I'll go to Friday the 13th any day. But if I want to watch a movie like in depth and really not like pay attention, but almost pay attention to it, I'm going to go to the Halloweens because the couple out of the series that are really good are just unbelievable.
No, I completely agree. And I mean that brings me to to my number one, which is a punt from you earlier. And welcome to prime time, bitch. Freddy Krueger. I had and you know what's funny? Growing up, I would have said Jason and put Jason at number one. why would I put Freddy at number one now? I think that his legacy has I think he crossed over the most into the mainstream. And that's kind of why I put it there. Like he's as recognizable as like Luke Skywalker, I think, in the 1980s, or Darth Vader, like these big iconic characters. I think he crossed over to the mainstream enough that people know who Freddy Krueger is. And I personally love almost all the movies except for the remake because I just find them at least wildly entertainment. Even like a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which I don't like, I can appreciate that one.
Yeah, and I think that he is one, as like I said before, I realized as the list went on and from the punts and everything that you were going to put him up here. He's one that I think falls victim to losing original writers and the original idea because he starts to have kids and wives and children and like just like with Michael, there's all these family ties and all this nonsense that goes into him in the later films that just kind of pull him out, where it's like the first couple, I mean, he also is ironic, like one of the only people who people love the first one, don't care for the second one, and a lot of people think the third one, that's Dream Warriors, right? That they think that's the best one in the whole series.
It's the second best one for sure. Like, I mean, I can't put it over Nightmare 1, but I love Dream Warriors. And actually, it's funny. I have a very distinct memory of like when I was renting Dream Warriors after 2, and I hated 2, and I was like, holy shit, this movie's really good.
Yeah, I think he really hits his stride there. And listen, he's full of one-liners, and I think that's the unique thing about Freddie and why I think he can kind of cross over into the mainstream, like you said. He's one guy. Like he isn't. Yeah. Oh, like yeah. Freddie's dead.
I love Freddy's Dead. I put that at number 3 in the entire franchise.
Really?
Yeah, he's stupid. It's a Looney Tunes cartoon, and I love it for that. Like the
Yeah.
movie, they're progressing to full blown comedies, and they nail it in the last one, and then they go full blown back to horror with a new Nightmare. But like I said, that's why I can appreciate all the films for what they are. Like, I mean, 4 and 5 for me are shaky. Like 5, like makes no sense. Dream, what's that? The one with the baby? Like she got knocked up, Mrs. Krueger, because a bunch of the worst people raped her. I'm pretty sure only one of them can actually make it inside. I could be wrong.
Well, that's what I mean. He falls victim to that. As it goes on and continues, people like the storyline just gets so convoluted and so confusing. And where did Freddie come from? And who was he with before? And does he have siblings? And did those siblings have babies? And are those babies still around? And it like you said about Michael, like he used to be, um, you know, just evil. Freddie used to just be this, creepy guy with the town parents in the town killed him, and now he haunts their dreams. All of a sudden, they're like, no, 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 no. Here's what really happened. But there was no fluidity to it whatsoever. Everyone, like you
No,
said, just threw the shit at the wall and just to see what stuck.
it's that was typical of the 1980s. It just feels like, okay, oh, the sequel's coming around. All right, let's bring Freddy back. We'll figure out how, and we'll just wipe out everything that happens in the last movie. That's what kills me about 3 to 4, and that's why I put 4 like it probably is my least favorite, is because everybody who survives the third movie gets killed off immediately at the very beginning of the fourth movie, which is something they would do in horror movies just back in the 1980s, and even like Aliens, like when we get to Alien 3, like Newt survives, and and then we kill her off screen. It's like kill like crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. And actually, that's kind of a talking point maybe for now another time. What do you think? And I think there has to be a criteria for this in horror. Is the most fluid timeline through a franchise who has, I'd say, 5 or more movies? Because you could say Pennywise, but he's only had really one and then a two-part remake, so that's kind of cheating. Like if there's only 2 or 3 movies, I'm talking the guys who have 6, 7, 8, 9 movies in a franchise. Who do you think is most consistent? I think it's got to be Jason because he's almost so inconsistent that it's consistent, if that makes sense.
No, because their movies are what they are, and I agree with that. They're never trying to be anything more. Like they get so far out there, like you almost forgive it for taking the risk because it's like you said, you could put them on anytime. If you're just bored, you could put on a Friday the 13th film. You won't be bored. You'll be entertained. You're not going into this movie like, oh, I'm gonna really train my mind and pay attention to all the shots. But I mean, in Jason Lives, like it feels so much like autumn. I think there's still some nice shots in there and everything.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like we're talking about this where Freddie falls victim to that over storytelling where it's not one studio that picks it up from, movie 4 to the end. Or not one writer, one director, one vision. Every film after that just compounds how confusing it is. Same with Michael, he falls victim to it. They did 1 and 2, then they did Season of the Witch. That didn't do very well, so then they were like back to Michael again, and there's no consistency, and it's just a bunch of nonsense thrown at it. Like, that's what seems to happen to these horror movies is as you get more and more films, there's no sense of direction to them. They're very haphazard, and that's why I think if I were gonna propose that question and answer it, I think the most consistent film throughout or franchise is Friday because they never really explore anything farther than, "Yep, Jason used to be here and he drowned." That's
Yeah.
it. They really don't go anywhere beyond that.
No, and they keep coming back to the camp, and you don't even question it. Like after the amount of time something bad happens, they'd be like, well, let's just shut it down. But no, they keep reopening it, and then the same thing happens again. They're all baffled that it keeps happening again, but you're fine. You're like on board with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what, again, he is my personal number one, but in terms of overall movie quality, I put Michael just because there are a handful in there that you can tell were really like high level. The cinematography was great, the acting was great, the
I mean,
character itself was great.
what they tried to do with the last trilogy with Michael was essentially make an entire trilogy that was like a little bit like I don't want to say elevated horror because like that's such a stupid word now that everyone throws around, but like they tried to actually like tie it all together, tell an entire trilogy, and they almost nailed it. Like they really did. I really liked the entire 2017 one. I like Kills, and then Ends just ruins it. But they really did try and actually make good films with good director, like and a good writing team behind it.
Yeah, and they did, like you said, they really did do a pretty good job with the first two, and then just the ending of that was so. I don't know who came up with that, like, "Well, Michael's weak now, so he's gotta pass his evil on to some kid in the sewer." Like, you talk about humanizing him and the problems with Rob Zombies, that's exactly what Halloween Ends did. It took him from being this evil entity that can kill everyone. I mean, Halloween Kills, that opening sequence, he is like an action superhero. The guy is just murdering everybody, and he's
Hmm.
walking, and it's incredible. And then
The way the
Ends
camera
comes and
follows him, like house to I love that. I love it. Yes, the evil dies tonight shit in that movie is stupid, but him going into like Big John and Little John's house, like I love that and killing them. Like all that stuff is so good in that movie. And for the most part, it's a great movie. And then ends, it doesn't feel like it's in the same series.
yeah, yeah, so they definitely missed the mark with that one, but I think if I'm just stacking up, like, originals or the first 2 or even the remakes, that's where I put Michael at 1. Personal choice in spooky season, if I'm sitting on the couch, I'm gonna watch a scary movie, and I just wanna unwind, I'm going to Jason every single time.
Perfectly understandable. And I get that. That was a great list though. I think we nailed that.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it was a good discussion, and, yeah, I like we said when we were doing it, talking about the franchises was gonna be a big part of it too because you can't mention the character without mention how the franchise was treated.
No, 100%.
I will
Um,
say I think that Friday the 13th is the worst treated franchise. Like, who even has the rights anymore?
oh
With
my
like,
god.
it's a
Well,
mess with that one.
it's crazy actually, and they stopped at 12. We haven't had a Friday the 13th movie in 16 years, but we also haven't had a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in 15 years. It's Michael just keeps going. Like somebody else has the rights to it now. They're gonna make a new Michael movie, but Freddy and Jason, like they're essentially dead, which is crazy because they those movies would make money.
Yeah, so now here's my question for you, because they tried to remake Nightmare,
Ugh.
and it really didn't do well. People didn't love it. So here's the problem now, right? Jason, you could easily remake because even though there are the diehards who say Kane Hodder is Jason, da da da, whatever. I think the remake got whoever played him in the remake played it great. I think even the Jason in Freddy versus Jason, even though he was really stupid and slow, he was fine. Like I don't have a problem with him. Same with Michael. Like the character behind the mask is good. I just don't know what do you do for Nightmare if Robert Englund, because I think he said that he's done. He's a little older. I think he said he can't really do the stunts and the long days of acting in there. He can't do that stuff anymore. So
No, I think
do
he's 80 something years old now.
do you take the chance? Do you write a story where Robert Englund's Freddy passes his evil along to somebody? Like, how do you approach that, and who do you make Freddie
I don't know. I
without
mean,
Robert Englund?
we've had 15 years go by. If you get the right people behind it, I'm sure if you do the right thing, you can find a good Freddy. I mean, I'm pretty sure people didn't expect them to find another Pennywise like Tim Curry or the Joker. I'm sure they didn't expect to be able to like repeat history. I think if you do the right thing and actually put some effort into it, you can find another Freddy Krueger. Will he be as iconic? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I think that's the problem with Freddie is it's a very difficult role to fill because it's not behind a mask. And I know there are people who say, well, even though you're behind a mask, there's nuances and stuff. But for the most part, like David said, with Friday the 13th being just remake after remake after remake, the same movie over and over again, no one really cared that much about who was playing Jason because
No.
Jason was there. And that's the same thing with Michael and everything. So I think the trick with Freddie is that Robert Englund made Freddie what he is.
Exactly. I agree. He did. Robert England is very much intertwined with the character. It's not a stunt man behind the mask like the other two are.
Yeah, so that's a tough one. I don't know. I guess we'll see if they can figure it out, but I'd be a little bit hesitant and worried about it if I saw they were remaking it again.
Yeah, I'd be very worried, but it's also been enough time now that I'd be like, okay, let's see what they can do.
Yeah.
So, do you have to jump off now and go to work? Because we can
Um,
end the
w-
show now.
we could do the one question if you want that we
All
have
right, yeah,
left.
yeah, we did have a question we wanted to answer real quick for you guys, because it's interesting, and I wanted Dennis's thoughts on it. But thought a week though, Imprint a week later is now pressing 1,000 more copies of the Halloween set for 2,000. This feels slimy. Discuss it. Cheers. Did you get a chance to look up that Imprint set?
I did, yeah, and I think you sent it over to me too. First of all, it's awesome.
It is beautiful,
It,
right?
yeah, I mean the jack o' lantern that holds all of the 4Ks in it. I mean, it is a really, really nice collector's item. Now, a couple of issues with it. Price is insane.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it was 350, right?
Yeah, but you have to import it, so it'll end up being even more.
Which is nuts. So that's awesome. I mean, listen, I get collector's items can be expensive, especially if you're billing it as only 1,000 being made. So I've kind of been thinking about this, and I can kind of see both sides of the argument here. The side of the business is I don't know how big the company is that's making these.
So Imprint is I want to say it's a Australian or UK company, and like these are the same scans that you already have. So if you already have the Shout Factory or Scream Factory ones,
Mm.
they're basically the same exact 4K Blu-ray. It's just now in new packaging. So all it is you'd be buying it for the Jack-o'-lantern and those new steelbooks.
Okay, so that's already strike one. But the other thing to me is like if you announce it as 1,000 copies or 1,000, models, whatever you want to call it, are being made, 1,000 units, it sells out. I could understand from the business perspective, maybe it's a thing of like, we don't know if this is going to really hit, and we don't want to invest the money in making 10,000 of these to then sit on 5,000 and lose all that money. So you make 1,000, it sells out. You're like, all right, great. Now we can use some of the money from that 1,000 to make another 1,000 to make sure you're not losing a ton of money. But I do see the slimy side of that is like, you're pitching this as a one of a kind. There's only 1,000, so spend the $350 on it now because you're never going to be able to get this again, only to turn around and then say, just kidding, we're also making enough. So now, are you going to make another 1,000 after those ones sell out and another 1,000? Like, are you just tricking us into spending a ton of money on something you're calling a collector's item when it's not really a collector's item? You're just making sure you're making all your money before you give us more of them.
Exactly. And that's literally what Disney's been doing lately. And that's what happened with the Friday the 13th box set. It's literally something you learn as a kid. It's supply and demand. If you build up the demand for it, and you keep the supply short, people will come running out. In the days of now that we live in with, the reselling market on eBay and the scalpers, everyone wants to take advantage of the collector. And it's a shame because you want the people who actually want this stuff to be able to get it. Like the Friday the 13th steelbooks, like people want those and you don't have enough for them, like that sucks. Like, and you can make more. You just, you're limiting it, and then you don't want to. Okay, if it is limited and you're charging more, then I better not see it come back around in a couple of years. And now my limited edition is not that limited anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the trick is if they want to be honest and do the right thing, not the slimy
Bossy.
thing.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
a
okay.
bossy
So
company. I wasn't sure.
what I would do if I were them is I would say, all right, because everyone knows these are the same scans, the same 4Ks, the same everything.
Mhm.
This jack-o'-lantern set with if you know, so first of all, let's admit it, they knew they could make more of these. There's no way that they didn't know they can make another 1,000.
No, that excuse like, "Oh, we didn't know," like, that's complete, especially if it's a week later. So I think that they knew that they maybe were making 2,000. They put it out there to put out a feeler, like you said, and it's like, "But before we make it, let's just see how they sell." Kinda like the Lethal Weapons and the original Nightmare coming out, like a proof of concept. Let's see if these sell well, and then we'll make more. But it's like you're misleading your consumers then.
Yeah, and that's my problem with it. If you wanted to be honest about it, you could say, "We're making this box set," and this is to me, the right way to do is, "We're making this box set. We're only making 1,000 for now. More could come down the line depending on how they sell." And then I think you have to tailor the I think it would have been smarter to say, "We're gonna sell just the jack-o'-lantern," because if you have the other
Oops. Cut out.
Can you hear me?
Yep. The
Sorry.
headphone died.
All right, you can hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, my earbud died. So I think you could say for $150, you get the jack-o'-lantern, and your current, Shout Factory or Scream Factory 4Ks will fit in it. For $250 or $300, you get all of the 4Ks plus the jack-o'-lantern. Separate it so people don't have. You talk about it all the time. Well, such and such a movie just came out with a new 4K. Last year they did a steelbook. This is just new artwork on the steelbook. So now I feel like, do I have to buy this new one again because I have the old one already? So between making your consumer buy the same thing 20 times, I think, yeah, Imprint cut me off.
They did. They don't like them.
You're also misleading by saying limited edition collector's item. So people, of course, they hear limited edition, only 1,000 copies or 1,000 things being made. They're going to spend $350, and you know that. And that's the slimy part. You're misleading us into spending our money on your item because we think there's only going to be 1,000. So you're more likely to be like, you know what? I'll spend the extra money because I'm one of 1,000 people in the whole world who's going to own this thing. And then the next week you're like, just kidding. We're going to keep making them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's a little bit messed up. I mean, it will hurt the scalpers, but I don't really care about them. But I just don't like what it did to the people who actually want this. I feel like that's a little bit messed up and a little misleading.
Yeah, and I think it hurts the people who bought it already because now you're looking at it like, well, this is stupid. Now I spent $350 on something that's not that limited, and it's going to hurt the people who want it now. They're going to be like, well, I'll just wait then. If they're going to keep making them, I don't want to buy it now and spend $350 if they're going to end up making 10,000 of these things and they're going to go on sale for half off in 6 months.
100%. I completely agree. I couldn't agree with you more. We're on the same page on that. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for the show this week, don't you?
Yes, sir. I do have to get back to work now.
All right. Yep. So we'll close this out together. We'll be back next Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Me and Dennis have a show coming out on Thursday. Original version this week is a flashback films episode, actually, and we will be doing Stand By Me. So make sure you guys check that out. And then tomorrow's Let's Talk Physical Media live now at 6:45 p.m. Eastern time. Friday will be me and David's Terminator 2 show. So make sure you guys are on here for that as well. And everything else, like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Later.